It's a crazy time for sports in Canada. Jays and Yankees. It's a series now. Canadian teams kicking off their season. That includes the Toronto Maple Leafs. Connor McDavid signs an extension, pretty much telling the team, "Hey, you got 2 years to make this right, or I'm out." So let's dive into it all, starting with the Blue Jays. I'm Dan. That's Kyle. We did a post game show last night. The Blue Jays had it in the bag, up 6-1. And then Aaron Judge with one of the performances uh, uh, that the Yankees have become accustomed to.
Dan, you said that we did a show last night. It feels like that show ended 45 minutes ago, to be perfectly honest with you. We might have poked the bear. We might have awoken the bear in Yankee Stadium. Aaron Judge played like the perennial MVP he has become. And as he goes, so go the Yankees. I said that last night. You cannot lose perspective on the fact that this team is still up 2-1 in the series, but I agree with everything you said last night about momentum. Baseball and the offensive portion of baseball is a big momentum game, maybe the biggest, and that momentum didn't start for the Yankees last night. It started in the latter half of game 2.
Yeah, they got to the Jays pen. They built confidence in a blowout game. The positives for the Jays, Vladdy Guerrero. He has shown up.
Yes.
While other Jays, George Springer looked lost at the plate. Anthony Santander, he was doing a breaststroke in right field while running for a baseball. He can't figure it out. Although, as Keegan Matheson says, he is one of the most respected and loved players in Major League Baseball. So you hate to
Right.
root for a guy to not be in the lineup because of his good guy status, but at some point the experiment with Santander has to end. And Keegan said, put him in the DH spot because he feels there is a home run somewhere in his bat.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like he's had good swings. He's had long at bats. He hit a couple of balls really hard in the series that were just caught. Judge made a great play on a liner last night. But Keegan's right, and I know you taped with Keenan this morning already, Dan, and we can look forward to seeing that here in the Toronto Sports Rush Network later today. But something has to change for this team because they don't have the luxury of a 7-game series to turn this around quick. Yes, they're going home for game 5 should it be necessary, but that's not the scenario they want. They want to win this tonight just like they wanted to win it last night. And the incredible thing here is that both bullpens for these teams have not been great at all. Yet tonight, we're facing Cam Schlittler, their young gun who just pitched one of the greatest playoff games in history, especially in the context of his age. And we're throwing a bullpen game against him.
That's right. And starting with Louis Varland, who gave up that home run to Aaron Judge, which is terrifying. The Yankees bullpen was absolutely fantastic. They helped win that game in game number 3 at Yankee Stadium as the Jays, I think, the stat line was they got 3 hits against the Yankees bullpen. They just could not get anything done with them. While the Blue Jays bullpen, every pitcher that came in was hit.
Right.
So it when you say a bullpen game and that's what we're relying on, that is absolutely terrifying. Something the Yankees right now are frothing, considering, as you said, they put a rookie phenom who had an historic performance against the Red Sox in a deciding game in his last start.
Yeah, Dan, I should have said that the Yankees bullpen has been bad in this game, but back to in this series, but back to momentum. They were very good last night and they did their job as they are supposed to do. And that bullpen was assembled to do that job exactly that way. But it's going to be interesting because the Toronto Blue Jays now find themselves in the context of having to deal with adversity in this playoffs for the first time. And
Yeah.
not that they've been in the playoffs for a long time, but
First
you
time
you
they
want
didn't first time the Yankees had a lead was that game.
yeah, it was. And unfortunately for the Jays, psychologically speaking, that lead came on the heels of overturning a humongous early lead themselves. Not a great look, not a great feeling for them, but it is what it is. And they have to go out there and turn the corner now. So let's have a conversation about in the clubhouse who is responsible for that psychological shift that allows them to walk onto the field with a clean slate tonight.
Here's what the Blue Jays have to rely upon. Down the stretch, John Schneider said after they clinched the AL East by winning the last game of the season, he said in that clubhouse, they talked about it. They said everyone thinks the sky is falling, but we did not. So they have an instant mental memory to draw upon, knowing everyone thought the momentum had shifted and we had lost it. We had a 5-game lead atop the AL East, and we let the Yankees take it. Everyone saw that except them. They stayed true to themselves and they got back to playing Blue Jays baseball, which they did for the first 3 innings of game 3. They were playing Blue Jays baseball, capitalize on mistakes, and they were being aggressive. That was all squandered when the bullpen didn't allow any base runners, so tough to be aggressive when you got no one on base. So John Schneider knows exactly what to say because he's probably had to say the same thing in the last 2 weeks of the season. So that is another positive to be drawn upon where these guys, they've been there against the same team, against the Yankees, where everyone thought they were finished and they just buckled up. No, but buckled up. They
Saddled up.
saddled up. They pulled their they pulled their socks up. They Ernie Clemented their socks.
Dan, I think this is one of those scenarios where when you have a manager like him, whose relationship with the players, yes, he's the manager of the team, but he's friendly with them. They are a tightly knit unit. He's not placed on a crazy tier above these guys. He's not dictatorial. He is a friend of these guys, and I think that will serve them a huge advantage right now. If he is calm for them, he will immediately allow them to absorb that energy. And as you say, down the stretch, this is exactly what they were dealing with. Less consequence at that moment, but not really, because they were trying to lock up that first round bye. So it was also pretty serious. You and I have talked down the stretch with this team, and now I find myself trying to pull my mind back. They have given us incredible theater, whether we like it or not.
It's not
And
boring. That's what I always say.
at,
It's not
at,
boring.
at the end of the day, I am a sports fan first, and I'm leaning into this because it's just electric to watch and feel my own emotions up and down, and the emotions of an entire country along with it.
Let's bring in Pierre McGuire because there is something to be drawn upon from the hockey world, and that is the psyche of Leafs fans. It has now wormed its way into Jays fans' brains. Pierre, as you know, welcome. And it happens to the Leafs. If they lose a playoff game, this is the worst team I've ever seen. They win a playoff game, I've never seen a better Leafs team. It's the Leaf fan psyche that has now been adopted by Jays fans.
Dan and Kyle, first of all, great to visit with you. Everybody's celebrating the greatness of the Toronto Blue Jays. I know it didn't go exactly their way last night, and it's really exciting to watch the NHL season start. Here's my advice to all fans of professional sport. Both sides get paid. So the other guys are just as good as your team. That's the reality of pro sports, and that's what makes it so special. You're seeing best on best every night. Even the bad teams are good. Let's see how it plays out in the next game, which I'm sure the Toronto Blue Jays will handle themselves very well. I'm sure
I even
they
had
will.
Yankees fans texting me last night, and I can't believe this happened. They said, obviously, the umps are on the payroll, the Jays payroll. I'm like, no one in North America except people in Canada wants the Jays to advance. What are you talking about?
Well, especially Major League Baseball. You know, look where
Yeah.
they had to play the Toronto Blue Jays versus the New York Yankees. When have the New York Yankees, in every single game they've ever played, not been in prime time? They weren't this weekend. I can tell you that right now they weren't.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a significant hit. And I would like to see actually the rating point last night, because you got to remember the New York Rangers started their season last night on
Right.
national TV at 8:20. That puck was dropped against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, I mean, I don't know what people are saying. The Toronto Blue Jays are an elite team. They are. They deserve full credit. I do think the Blue Jays will eventually win this series, but I get the emotion of the fans. It's all good. It's all good.
Pierre, I can say with certainty that right now we're gunning for a Toronto-Milwaukee World Series. That's our only response to the tariffs. So that's how we're going to do in the TV networks down there. So that would screw them over pretty good, except for the immediate area around Milwaukee. But let's turn our attention to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yesterday, I had the chance to do a bit of a roundtable season preview with EJ Raddick and Neil Smith, and they both echoed the same sentiment about this hockey team. They expect them to slightly regress in the regular season, but be better come playoff time. What do you think about that?
I respectfully disagree with the premise. I think the team will be just as good as they were last year. I know everybody's going to say, well, what about the 102 points from Mitchell Marner? I think Austin Matthews might make that a big part of that up by himself. I think John Tavares, who's going to be super motivated, Kyle, to be part of a Canadian Olympic team, it's going to make a big difference. I think you're going to see more consistency from Bobby McMahon, just because of the fact that he had these huge surges last year and then he kind of fell back. But a lot of regular season games are won with bumping, grinding, and board play. The Leafs are better prepared for that now than they were last year. So we'll see how it plays out. The one concern I have for Toronto, who's going to run the power play and how efficient will it be? They will miss Mitchell Marner on the power play. There's no question. But can the power play grow under Morgan Riley? Can it grow maybe with Mateus Michelli? We'll see. That's my only concern for that team. I think this team is going to be very good.
No matter how long you've been in the game, how many practices you've had as a professional player, Pierre, there's just something about the first game of the season where every one of those grown men must feel like kids again.
All you had to do was watch Chicago versus Florida, or watch New York Rangers versus Pittsburgh, or watch LA versus Colorado last night. Just to speak to your point, Dan, you could see skill and then you could see foibles and nervous energy, to your point. So I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I've coached a lot of opening nights. I think I broadcast 30 opening nights in the National Hockey League at different times. So yeah, no, it's a very interesting dynamic, and you're spot on. They're normal. They're people, just like you and me. They put their pants on the same way every morning, and
No,
they're
they're
going to be
hockey players, so they probably
they're,
put them
they're
on a
going to be
specific
nervous.
way.
They're going to be nervous.
Left leg first all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Pierre, I wanted you to briefly talk about, because you've had interactions with both these franchises and fondness for both of them. Once again, an opening night against the Montreal Canadiens. There's no such thing as a bad matchup between these two because of the history. How much of a treat is that an opening night, again, from a sports theater perspective, that we get to play the Habs?
Fantastic. I think it's tremendous, Kyle. I love being part of this and watching it. I can't wait to do the post game tonight on Bet Rivers. And the thing to me that stands out is the energy, the legacy, and the tradition that both these franchises have. I was doing a little research the other day about Conn Smythe Trophy winners. The first ever Conn Smythe Trophy winner was Jean Beliveau in 1965. In 1967, the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup, Dave Keon was a Conn Smythe Trophy winner. Montreal's gone on to have a plethora more of Conn Smythe Trophy winners and Stanley Cup championships. The Toronto Maple Leafs have never been back since. It adds to the dynamic that is this huge rivalry, and it never gets old. It never gets old.
The Montreal Canadiens. This is what baffles me about the NHL schedule. You've got it's so long, yet the Canadiens are starting their season with 3 games in 4 days, all on the road.
All against original 6 teams: Toronto, Detroit, Chicago on Saturday night.
They must look at that and say, "What are you doing to us?"
Well, not easy, obviously. The good news is that Chicago played in Florida last night. They'll play in Boston tomorrow, and then they'll be home to play that game Saturday night. For Montreal, they'll get them the first game back, so maybe they'll look at that. But yeah, no, it's not easy. I think about last year, Sidney Crosby. I'm pretty sure it was Toronto, Detroit, Montreal, like 3 straight original 6 games for Sidney Crosby last year, Dan and Cal, if I remember correctly. And what's amazing is that was just before he signed his contract extension. And I remember making the point on one of our shows, I think it was with Kyle, if they don't get him signed to a contract soon, that's going to just take over the entire franchise when they go into these original 6 cities. They eventually did get him signed to an extension, so that kind of went away. But it's amazing to watch when the original 6 franchise are involved, the dynamic because of the media. It's just so substantial.
Pierre, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Easton Cowan being sent back down after both Matthews and Nyes were very public in their support of the improvements in his game.
Yeah, I think that's just part of the process. Obviously, he was brought up today, game day, and I look at. I think the world. I think that everybody thinks the world of the player. It has nothing to do with what I think. He'll be a major contributor to this franchise for a long period of time. I don't think he took it personally. I'm sure that Craig Berube handled it well. I had a long talk with Craig this week And I was blown away by how sincere he was and how much respect he has for that young man and the way he plays. So he's going to get every opportunity to be a real good player for Toronto. And I think part of that is because he's going to be insulated by the coaching staff.
Hey
Pierre,
guys, just an update.
Yep.
So after being recalled, Easton Cowan was in practice today, but it looks like him, Sammy Blais, and Phil Myers are good. They're projected scratches for tonight. So he got recalled, but he's not starting tonight.
Right.
Not playing tonight.
Tell me, Pierre, are you seeing the Connor McDavid extension the same way everyone else is? He's told the team, okay, I'm giving you room to build a team around me. You've got 2 years to do it.
I do. I see a lot of Tom Brady in it. I said that on the CBS Sports Network earlier this week when it was a breaking story. Tom Brady gave up more money so that he could build a team around him. I think that's what McDavid is doing in Edmonton. I find it interesting. So he's got 3 years left on his deal this year, plus 2 more. Chris Knobloch just signed a 3-year extension. And this morning they signed Matthias Ekholm to a 3-year deal worth $12 million. Everything's working in 3 there, but this is the most important part of it. If you look at Leon Draisaitl's in year 1 of an 8-year deal. Darnell Nurse is in year 4 of an 8-year deal. And Evan Bouchard is in year 1 of a 4-year deal. So all the boys on the band, so to speak, they're all got contract time. There's no more negotiations that have to happen there. They're set to go. The window is open. Now go deliver.
Pierre, that's a great note about Tom Brady. I don't have the ability to Google it now, but I'm pretty sure things worked out well for him. He went on to do some things of note, I believe. But there's something to be said about that too. The great ones see greatness at a level beyond the next contract, the next payday. It's about legacy for him. That restaurant he opened is going to make him more money over the next 2 years now.
Wait, what's this restaurant? I don't know about this.
He opened a high-end restaurant out in Edmonton not that long ago with his wife or fiance. I'm not sure.
Oh, McDavid. I thought you were talking about Tom Brady. Sorry.
Oh, no. Tom Brady's probably got 150 restaurants.
Yeah.
They only serve Brazilian food as a knock too. But if you catch that reference, you're my best friend. So, okay, so this Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team, Pierre, there's been a lot of rebuilding, and it's not just that guy comes in, guy goes out. They've rebuilt this team on the mold that Craig Berube likes, and we talked about this all of last season. That was going to be a work in progress. It's always a loss to lose a Marner, but the truth is the way this team is shaped now is more to Berube's style. It's undeniable. But how quickly in this season will we know if the moves are working?
Game 1, you're going to know tonight because Montreal's going to push back too. And Montreal's made some moves too. A kid like Zachary Bolduc comes in. He's a good player. A kid like Noah Dobson comes in. He's a good player. Demidov, who I don't believe Leaf fans have really had a chance to watch play against the Leafs. He's an elite superstar caliber player. We talked about the power play concern I had for Toronto. I should have mentioned, and it's on my bad, the injury to Scott Lawton in the preseason kind of takes a little bit of the steam out of what they're trying to do. Eventually, when he's back in the lineup, their lines get rejigged a little bit. I don't know what that means for Robertson long-term, but I would say this. I think the Leafs wanted to change the DNA of their organization in the offseason. That's at least what Brad Treliving said. I think they've done it, and I think they're going to be a much better team than what most of the pundits say. And I'm not saying that because I'm on Toronto radio. Dan and Kyle, I say that whether I'm on CBS, Pittsburgh post or pregame shows, Montreal pre or post game shows, wherever I do work, I always say the same thing. I think Toronto's going to be a really good team.
Hey, do you want to play 1 Degree of Pierre McGuire where I turn around, point to a card, you tell me your connection to that player?
I don't think I have a choice one way or the other. So
you're betting 1,000.
That's
Last
correct.
week I threw a WHL, like there was some WHL players. That didn't count because that wasn't an NHL card. Okay, we're going top right corner. Dmitry Yuskevich.
Oh my gosh, one of the toughest guys you could ever imagine. I got a great story because I wrote about it in Sports Illustrated. Dmitry Yuskevich blocked a shot off the toe cap in a Leaf game. He was one of the toughest kids I've ever seen. And he took his skates off. He got in the shower and all his toenails fell off.
Oh.
And they did. He never missed a game. Like nobody, can you imagine? Just lose one toenail. Like I've had that happen. I didn't lose all 5 at the same time, but I've lost a toenail playing. And it's very painful. He was a fearless shot blocker. He was an amazingly proud person. He was so popular with his teammates. Leaf fans, I think, really respected him. If he had one little flaw in his game, he could have been a better puck mover. He was not as good at that. But man, oh man, you could win a lot with a guy like that on your team. What an amazing human being, tough as nails.
And Pierre does it again. Thank you, my friend.
Pierre, one last thing I want to ask you while we're talking about tough players. Did you happen to see the fight last night, Jeff Malott and Josh Manson? And the reason I bring this up is because Malott is the brother of UFC star from Canada, Mike Malott, who has a huge fight out in Vancouver a week from this Saturday on the big Canadian card. And I think it's remarkable that he should not be allowed to fight in the NHL because his brother is a quality fast rising UFC fighter. I think he ended the fight with a takedown, which is a big no-no on ice. But did you happen to see it?
Yeah. So here's the deal. That's amazing that 2 college guys, one an Ivy League student, Malott, who went to Cornell, and the other guy, Manson, who went to Northeastern, getting in a fight. This reminds me of a game I played once where I got in a fight in the game and I went in the penalty box and my mother was at the game and she looked at me and she was shaking her head. And after the game, she goes, "You went to college to do this?" And so when I see that, I started thinking about, I wonder what Malott and Manson's family, now I know, for Josh, his mother passed on. So not the same thing, but his dad, Dave, Josh Manson's dad, Dave, was one tough hombre. You talk about Malott's family and his brother being tough. I'll tell you what, Dave Manson was one tough hombre. He was a tough son of a gun.
Thanks, Pierre.
I love this with you guys. Thank you so much.
Well,
Have
we'll
a
see you
great
soon.
day, and go Blue Jays, and can't wait for the post-game show tonight. Take care, boys.
That's Pierre McGuire. I wanted to get him out of here as I don't want him get him swept up in what I'm about to say because it's been bothering me, Kyle, since my buddy relayed this story to me, and I feel bad for Leafs fans because this is kind of where it is with the Toronto Maple Leafs and where they see themselves in the Toronto scene. So my buddy was doing some work downtown Toronto. This fully armored SUV pulls up next to him. Guy gets out. The guy comes over to my buddy and wants to talk to him about his truck. That person was The Weeknd. He sat and talked to my buddy for 15 minutes. Said, nicest guy you would ever meet. So The Weeknd goes on his way. They exchange handshakes and they're off on their evening. 1 minute later, 2 Leafs brass come out of the same establishment that The Weeknd went into. My buddy's like, "Hey man, good luck with the season." Like, again, this guy's not searching for autographs. He was down there working.
Right.
Says, "Good luck with your season. Go Leafs, go." He said those Leafs executives looked at him like he was on fire with disdain and walked off. And that hurt me so much that a international superstar could spend 15 minutes talking to someone, sharing stories, yet the Leafs executive couldn't even say hi or anything like that. And I'm like, where do they think they fit into the Toronto culture acting like that?
Dan, I think that's a pretty good note to close things off on because that's an incredible summary of an attitude that needs to change. And
Yes!
it's not necessarily like the players or the coaching staff are like that either, but that's hey
I
man,
could see if they were like getting swarmed for autographs or something, but this guy is known around the world. You guys are known within a 2-block radius.
and also people with work trucks and doing work, those are your fans, man.
Yes.
Those are the people that put the butter on your bread.
Yeah. Anyway, I just
That's-
wanted to share that because it really ticked me off.
Well, for those at home that were confused when Pierre was on, those things just over his left shoulder were Stanley Cups. And some of our viewers haven't seen one of those in a long time. But hey, I'm with Pierre. I think that this team could change it this year.
And the Jays could stop the talk of momentum shifting with a win tonight. We'll see what happens. We'll be here for a post-game show, and we'll see you then. See you, Kyle.